everyone and welcome to another video from Colour with Claire. Today I'm going to be showing you how to colour different facial features, and on this video I'm going to be concentrating on noses, lips and ears. Now as you can see here, I've got a whole page full of different facial features. These have been drawn by the incredibly talented Laura Rafferty, and this sheet is available on her Etsy store for you to go and download. So if you want to colour these exact ones with me, you can go to the link in the description, buy this PDF and it'll be sent to you instantly via email. So because I said we're only doing noses, lips and ears today, I have just taken a few of them from the sheet and put them on a separate paper just to keep us from getting distracted by anything else. Now, I'm not doing eyes because the only way that I know how to do eyes is the way that I was taught through the Colorist Special Effects books by Helen Elliston. So I'm not going to replicate her exact same tutorial because that would be me giving away her technique that she has in her book. So if you want to go and find out how to do beautiful eyes, go and get yourself a copy of Colorist Special Effects if you haven't got it already. It's a fantastic book and it teaches you how to do lots and lots of different colouring tricks and tips. So I'm going to zoom in. Now for this particular tutorial, obviously for lips we've got loads of different colour lipstick and things that we can use, and also for just plain lips with no makeup. But for the skin tones I'm going to be doing one Caucasian and one dark skin tone. Now they're the only two skin tones that I'm actually really comfortable with colouring because I don't know many other combinations that I can really get to look right. So it will be my usual skin combo that you see on pretty much every person that I colour, and then a darker one as well that I'm going to be hopefully, now that I've sort of mastered it, I'm going to be colouring a lot more people with this darker skin tone, so I'm looking forward to that. So let's start off with the noses. So I'm all zoomed in now, just making sure that you are on camera and you can see everything. So here we go, we have noses. Now, the first thing that I'm going to do is just make sure that the lighting is okay, so just give me a second because sometimes with it just being white it decides to not light properly, and I don't know whether it might be worth just putting something that's coloured in this frame just to keep the colour sort of white. I don't know, we'll keep that there. That's just a little bit of wax from my diamond painting, so hopefully that won't be too distracting, but we'll keep that there, see if the light plays nicely with us. Okay, let's get on with it. The first skin tone I'm going to do, as I said, is that Caucasian skin tone, and the one that I use all the time. So I'm doing this with Prismacolor pencils. They are my pencil of choice. I'm using Peach PC927. That was light peach, sorry. Peach PC939. Nectar PC1092. Henna 1031. And Grade Lavender 1026. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off, unusually for me, with the darkest colour first with the skin. I usually start off with lightest colour and then go into darkest, but I'm going to start off this time with our darkest colour. So I'm taking the henna, and these are actually really great to practice on because they already are quite shaded, so you know where to put light and highlights and shadows. But if you do have a different colouring book that you're practicing in, or a different piece of artwork that doesn't have these shadows, you can still follow this tutorial, because as long as the nose is facing towards you, this would be a really good tutorial to do on any colouring book or nose that you can find that is in that shape. So I'm taking my henna and I'm following Laura's shading areas, just like this. We're going quite lightly at the moment because you can always add more, but it's very difficult to get rid of too much colour. So we're following that shading at the moment. We're going to be taking this all the way down here so that we're framing these nostrils, and then doing the same this side. So nice and lightly. There we go. Now we're also going to come down here. Oh, better leave that there. We're also going to come down here and bring in the sides of the nose as well. So all the way following this curve. Obviously, if you're using a different colouring book, you would just follow whatever curves the artist has put in for you there. Again, making sure that we're keeping it nice and light. And then following the other side as well, all the way down. So you've got just two parallel lines with your darkest colour. By the way, this is how I colour it. It's not going to be perfect, it's not going to be super realistic or anything, so this is just how I do it, and I thought it might be helpful to some of you to film it so you can see exactly how I do it. I've now got the nectar, which is our next lightest colour, I suppose you could say. And I'm just going inwards a little, so I'm going over the henna that we've just put down and bringing it inward toward the centre column of the nose. Again, keeping it nice and light. We can always come back in and add some more later. Doing exactly the same thing, going over the henna here, over all of the bits that we've previously coloured, but also sort of bringing it out as well so that you can actually see the nectar. It's not just covering the henna. Now our next colour, which is the peach, we're going to do exactly the same thing, bringing this column in even narrower. Going over the nectar that we've just put down. It looks almost like a Batman symbol, this bit that we're doing at the end of the nose here. So there we go, that's with the peach. And then the lightest of our colours, the light peach, again over and extending toward the centre. And this does make a really, really nice blend. Keeping this curved shape down here. And you can use this light peach to blend everything in, so you can go over all of it and it will make a really nice sort of blended look. Nice smooth gradient. So I don't know about you, but that to me is looking rather red. You could use it, leave it as it is and use this as your skin tone. But to be honest, I think it's a little bit too red toned to look as realistic as I want it to look. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in the greyed lavender, and that really offsets the redness of the henna that we've put down. So you're going straight over the henna, the darkest one that we used, and that gives more of a shadowed look rather than just a red line. It's giving us more of a look of a shadow. So it's acting almost like a grey, but I find the greyed lavender, the purple, you can use lilac as well, it really offsets that red. So we're going over all of the henna bits that we've done. Making those red bits now more of a shadow. And when you're happy with how that looks, we're then going to go in and redo a few of our colours. So I'm bringing the nectar back in to blend that greyed lavender out a little. just a little bit now, we're not going too far with it. And then the peach. And the light peach, so blend everything out with the light peach. So you should be left with a nice sort of white highlight down the centre. And you can go very, very lightly with your peach, so light pressure over this kind of area down here, just to blend it more in with the white so it doesn't look too stark. And if there are any areas that look a little bit too harsh, you can use this light peach just to blend them out. So this is how I would colour a nose on a face if I were using these pencils in a colouring book. And if you wanted to, if you didn't want to leave that whole highlighted area white, you can do a very light covering of light peach just to blend even further. So really you're just using this light peach as your blender pencil for all of the bits that you've done. Now again, if there are any areas that you think look a little bit too red, you can come back in with your greyed lavender and make them into shadowed areas just by adding a touch of this. So I've had a lot of people ask how I colour faces, how I colour skin and facial features on these particularly sort of realistic type of drawings. And this is basically how I do it. I know it's not professional, and I know it's not at that kind of level where, you know, these YouTubers that are very, very talented in colour and tone and, you know, placement of highlights and things. But this is just a kind of semi-realistic way of doing it. So there we go. That's how I do it. So I'm going to call that done. There are little bits you could do to it to sort of make it look even more smooth, but just for the purpose of this demonstration, that is how I would colour a face on nose in this Caucasian colour palette. So let's move on to the darker palette. Now for this one, I'm going to be using dark umber, chocolate, burnt ochre and beige sienna. So I'm just grabbing those colours now. Here we go. So the dark umber is obviously our darkest colour. And this nose is slightly sort of turned away. So we're going to do a bit of a different sort of look to this nose. Now, I'm going to take the dark umber and follow along this little wave that has been left in the shaded areas by Laura. And I'm going to follow this wave all the way around, straight up the side of the nose, because on this particular one, there are a pair of glasses here, so we need a little bit of shadow for these glasses. So this is going to be our darker area. I'm then also going to frame this nostril here, just like we did with the other skin tone. And again, not using too much, not laying it on too thick, just in case we put it in the wrong place. So we're going to be coming back in and layering this up and darkening it when we've put down our base layer of colours. So that is where you'll put your dark umbers for now. We're then going to come in with our next colour, which is chocolate. This is, PC 1082 and dark umber was 947. So with the chocolate, again, we're just extending where we put the dark umber. So here we go, extending it outwards. and going over the top of the dark umber to blend. So we're not using much pressure at all here. And we do want to leave a little blendy area, a little hazy area of colour which isn't laid down too thickly, that will be our base layer to blend our next colour. And that next colour is Burnt Ochre, which is PC943. Sorry if you keep hearing me blow the dust off this. Need to see what I'm doing. So with the Burnt Ochre, we're going over the top of our chocolate. Again, we're still following the curves of the nose. And we're just extending again this area. Trying to keep this particular area nice and curved, because our highlight is coming from this side. And then the next colour is the Beige Sienna 1080. And again, the exact same thing, just extending it out. And following those curves. And don't worry about the bottom of the nose for now, I'll cover that in a moment. So we are going to be going over the rest of the nose with this Beige Sienna, very, very lightly. So you can see I'm barely touching the paper here. And it gets sort of darker and deeper as we come towards this end of the nose. I'm then going to go back in with our darkest colour, so we're starting all over again, that same cycle of colours, and we are deepening it up and making sure that we've got a good proportion of the colours on here. So I'm going to bring this out a little bit more, exactly the same line as we did before, but I'm extending it out a little further this time. And again, leaving that little hazy bit of colour for the next to blend into, which is the chocolate. And then the Burnt Ochre. So it really is just a process of keep going back and layering, which is not something that I used to like doing, because I'm very much a sort of hard pressure, burnish it, get it coloured, get it looking vibrant, bosh, finished. But sometimes, especially with skin tone, you just can't go that route, because you need to get as smooth a blend as you can. So that was the Burnt Ochre, and then our final colour, the Beige Sienna, over the edges of what we've just put down. Nice and smooth. There we have it. Now, when you are sort of happy with how that looks, I think for the purpose of this demonstration, I'm pretty happy with that. You can go in and do the underside of the nose. So I'm starting off with the chocolate and just bringing it in a little bit here. I don't want to do it too dark, because this has to sort of contrast against that very dark line that we've done there. And then the Burnt Ochre. and then finish off with your beige sienna in the centre. Now what you can do, if you wanted to, is to get a white pencil and just bring in a little highlight on the curve of the nose here. Now we're not doing it very hard because that would leave a very stark white area, which we don't want because it just wouldn't look realistic. This is just giving a very slight shine to the end of the nose, a bit of a highlight. And if you do go too far with it and you don't think it looks right, you can just go straight back in with your previous colours. But I just like that little bit of a highlight on the end of the nose. You see how we've left it here in the Caucasian nose? This is where I would put it on this kind of turned nose. Slightly turned anyway. And there you go. So like I say, you can go back in, you can take your previous colours and just make sure that it's all blended nicely. It's totally up to you how you do it, but that is how I would colour a darker skin tone nose. Now let's move on to some more bright and bold colours. We have the lips next, which I'll make sure is in camera, yes. And the first one I'm going to be showing you is a lovely deep pink lip. Now this is on lips that are turned to the left side. And I'm going to start off with Tuscan Red, which is PC937. We're going to take the Tuscan Red and outline the bottom lip first of all. So we're completely outlining it here. And then down the centre, down the centre of the top of the bottom lip as well. So keep this really nice and thin for now. We don't want to go too far with it. And the next colour is Pomegranate, PC915. And again, just following our previous colour, following the line. And making sure it's all blended in well together. Leaving a nice hazy edge for the next, which is Process Red, PC994. Just trying to keep all these colours together so I know where they are. So Process Red, again just extending and blending. Extending and blending, that's my technique. And then the last colour is Deco Pink, PC1014. And we still want to leave a nice bit of white here. So we're basically just blurring out the edge of the Process Red with our Deco Pink. And then we want to do the whole thing again, but it's going to be a lot easier this time because we have our base layer down. So our Tuscan Red for our deepest, darkest colour. Then our Pomegranate, making sure to burnish this time. And I should mention that I'm doing this on very cheap, very thin printer paper. So you do not need any kind of special paper for this. Prismacolors will blend on pretty much anything as long as it's not too toothy. So I'm going in now with the Process Red and the Deco Pink, Deco Pink. So that is a really good sort of blurring colour to get it to look nice and shiny. There we go, pretty happy with that. So now the top lip, very, very similar technique again, same colours. So our Tuscan Red is going to outline the top lip. Try not to press it too hard this time. Tuscan Red is one of those very crumbly colours. It has a lot of crumbly pigment in it. So we've outlined that bit, and then up here as well. We also want to go in on the bottom of this top lip, just here. There we are. And then the pomegranate. And there's not a lot of space to work with on most lips when you're colouring them, so you do have to be a little bit frugal with where you're putting your lines and your colours, because it can end up being too thick to fit more on. So do keep your pencils sharp as well. And then the Process Red, leaving that little nugget of white in the centre. And of course the Deco Pink, just to blur out that edge of the Process Red that we've just put down, make it look a little bit more shiny and natural. So that's pretty much it. You just touch up the bits that you need to touch up. Say for example, if your Tuscan Red isn't as dark as you want it to be, you want to really heighten that contrast, you can bring more of that in. You can go over the edge like I just did there. And then yeah, just keep layering up your colours if you don't like how it looks, and it will eventually just sort of all merge together. Oops, I'm trying to go too fast for this. I need to slow down. That's why I'm making silly mistakes. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to call that done. So that is how I would colour lovely shiny pink lips from the sort of looking at it from the right hand side if they're turned to the left. Now the next lips that I'm going to do for you is going to be a lovely deep red lip, and this one is going to be using Black Raspberry, Crimson Lake, Permanent Red and Pale Vermilion. So Black Raspberry is number 1095. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use pretty much the same technique. So the Black Raspberry is our darkest colour, and it's going to go all the way along the bottom of this top lip, and then all the way up here, and we are framing this lip. So we're going all the way around, and then we'll do the bottom lip as well while we're here. So bringing it down and completely framing it. And again, this area here. So we're pretty much just doing an outline. Fill in the corners a little bit. And there we go. And then our next colour, which was the Crimson Lake PC925. We're extending and blending again. So just following the lines you've already put, and making sure that your pencil's nice and sharp so that it leaves us enough space for the rest of our colours. And it blends nicely into that Black Raspberry. Same down here. So the next colour that we're going to bring in is the Permanent Red, which is PC122. Extending and blending, making sure that there is enough space left. So it may be that you only do the very slightest line with this, but it's just enough to make the next colour blend easier than it would if you were just putting the previous colour and the next colour together. This is a transition colour. And that next colour is Pale Vermilion, PC921. Bringing this in here and trying to leave a bit of white for the highlight. But you can again use this lightest colour, this Pale Vermilion, to blend over what you've already done. And you've got your lovely white there in the centre. Now, to me, the black raspberry area looks a little bit too harsh. So I'm taking that black raspberry and I'm doing the lightest stroke over the edge, just tickling the edge of it, which will blur it out a little more so it's not as harsh. Same at the top lip here, that looks very harsh to me. So I'm blurring it. I'm then going in with the Crimson Lake, the next darkest colour, and making sure that that is all blended in nicely and sort of pushing back that black raspberry slightly so it doesn't look as dominant. I know I'm going out of the lines all over the place here, guys, because I'm trying to make this video as short and snappy and concise as I possibly can whilst doing it in real time. And obviously these kind of disembodied features look really weird when they're on their own like this, but once you've actually coloured in the whole face or whatever it is you're colouring, they will look a lot better and they'll fit into the scene a lot better, believe me. So if you've ever liked any of my female portraits that I've coloured, then these are the techniques that I use, so it will turn out okay, I promise. Now when you've got to the end of your layering, if you want to take a white pencil and go over that white area that you left, just to blur it a little, get the edges of that Pale Vermilion nice and blurry. That just looks even more realistic, the shine, rather than being just a white block that you've left in the middle. You might have to press a little bit hard with this white if your highlight isn't where you need it to be, and you can even go back in like I am here just to sort of straighten it out a little bit. But there you go, that's basically how I would do a lovely deep red lip. Now the next one I'm going to be showing you is a nude lip. So for this one you're going to need Rosy Beige, Beige and Deco Pink again. So Rosy Beige is PC 1019. We're going to frame our lips just like we did before with this one. So this is our darkest colour, but it's actually a really nice light shade of pink, even though it's got quite a bit of grey in it. It's nice and light. So the lines that Laura's left for us here actually run across the bottom lip, leaving a gap underneath. So we're going to follow those lines, but if this was just like a pair of lips like this, you could just go straight to the bottom with this colour. But I'm going to follow the lines that we've been left here, because these lips are slightly tilted. So when you have framed the lips like we did before, you come in with your next colour, which was the beige. This is PC 997. And you're blurring that line of the Rosy Beige, and again leaving your white highlight in the centre. I'm just going in that little bit that we left at the bottom there, and there we go. So you're probably thinking this looks a little bit too orangey or yellow for a lip, which is why we're going to bring in the Deco Peach. So we're going over all of that beige that we've just put down. Deco Pink, sorry, I always get mixed up with Deco Peach and Deco Pink. We're going over the beige with the Deco Pink. We're going to go back to the start with our Rosy Beige and just outline those lips again, making sure that they're nice and defined. Again with the beige. And then the Deco Pink over the beige. So it's not like the Extend and Blend, this is literally going over, only over the beige and leaving the white highlight in the centre. And this just gives you a nice nude lip. Might need to use a little bit more harder pressure to go over the beige. So it's a very subtle lip, this one. And then again with your white pencil, making sure it is clean from the red that we just used it on. You want to blur out that white highlight a little bit. I'm just going to bring in this highlight slightly, just contain it slightly. I think it was a bit too big for these lips. And eventually when you mess around with it, you'll end up with something that looks a bit like that. So it's a very delicate nude lip. Now the last lip looks to me like a guy. It's got a beard. Could be the bearded lady, who knows, I don't know. But we're just going to do this as a normal pink lip. So nothing, no lipstick or gloss or anything like that on it. And I use for that the hot pink. And I'm going to start from the edge of the mouth. Frame it a little, and then again the bottom lip, framing it. This hot pink is PC993, by the way. So you've got a layer of hot pink. You've then got, again, your Deco Pink. This is a really good colour for lips, 1014, because it's so close to white, but it has that pink, slight pink tone in it. So it's a great blending colour. Now we're going over that hot pink because it really is quite a stark colour. I don't think hot pink's a great colour for guys, but for guys' lips. So we're just going over it, just to dull it out slightly, but we've still got that, you know, that main pink colour for the lips. Now when you've done that and you've left a bit of a white highlight there on the lip, you can then bring in a slight touch of henna, which is here. Henna is 1031, we've already used that, and just very slightly define the lips a little. Do not go mad with this colour because it will end up looking like a lipstick, and that's not what we're trying to achieve here. So very, very lightly defining the lip. Again, this is something that will make sense when you colour the whole face rather than just a disembodied pair of lips. And it's just a definition, it's for shadow and contrast and things like that. So you pop that on there. You go too far with it, you can always come back in with your Deco Pink and blur it out a little bit. And that is just a normal pink lip with no makeup on it or anything. And as I say, it will look a lot more natural and blended in with the whole finished picture when it's done. So next we're moving on to ears, and we're doing exactly the same skin tones that we did on our noses. And obviously ears are a bit funny. They're a funny shape, and they've got all different bits of curves and weird concave bits in them and things. So we're going to grab our Caucasian palette, which was the Henna, the Nectar, the peach and the light peach, and again the greyed lavender. We're going to take the light peach and do a light layer all over the ear. Like that. Then we're going to go in with our darkest colour, which is the henna, and define all of these areas. Now, even if you're using a different colouring page or colouring book, if you're looking at an ear dead on like this, it will have these kind of similar concave areas. So you just follow the lines and the curves that your particular illustrator has left in there for you. Then it's never just going to be an ear shape, unless you know it is, and then you have to put these in. But at least you know where to put them now, and how to add them in if you need to. So just adding a few little bits of shadow line, and then same on the inside of the shell of the ear, and we'll bring that up and around. So maybe a little bit of shadow just down here. And then on the top, I just like to put a little curve just at the top here. So that is with our henna, which is our darkest colour. And obviously the shadows are all going to be inside these little curled areas. Now the next colour is the henna, not the henna, just use the henna. It's the nectar. So where are you, nectar? Here we go. So the nectar, again, we're blending and extending. So all over the henna and outward, or inward rather, toward the inside of the ear. Going over that line we just put there as well, and any other lines we added in, or any other areas of shadow. Okay, and then when you've done that, the next colour along is the peach, which is here, and again blending, extending. As I say, there are probably a million ways to do this that look better and more realistic than this, but this is the easiest way that I can find of doing it that looks sort of semi okay, semi-realistic if you like. So going over all the different lines that we've added, blending, extending, and then the lightest colour, which is the light peach. Exact same thing again. Just extending it out. And bring that light peach up here as well, and go over that line we added at the top. And this one as well. Now we already put down a nice little base layer of light peach, so you shouldn't have any white areas on this, but there will be lighter areas obviously, and that just adds to the realism. So once you've gone over everything with the light peach, we need to bring our greyed lavender in because it does look a little bit red. So the greyed lavender PC 1026 over all of the henna areas. Let's make these look more like shadows than red lines. And there we are. So once you've gone over it all, it'll look something a little bit like that. You'll have little bits of shading and shadows in areas you probably wouldn't have thought of, like these little dots here, but it will all make sense again when you finish your portrait. Any areas that you don't like the look of, maybe they're too harsh, you can use that light peach again as your blending tool. And there we are. So that is how I would colour a Caucasian ear. Let's move on and do the dark skin tone on this ear. So exactly the same colours again. We have our burnt ochre, we had chocolate and dark umber and beige sienna. Where are you, beige sienna? Here we go. Okay. So pretty much exactly the same thing again. Starting off with your beige sienna, you would do a light layer over the entire ear. You could do this with the nose as well, doing the light layer first, but I quite like to leave a lot of sort of highlighted area on my noses. I don't know why, you might be different. But yes, that's what I'm doing with the ears anyway. So nice light layer of the beige sienna. Then going straight in with your darkest colour, which is the dark umber PC947. Grabbing all of these deep shadowed areas, the areas that are really inside the shell of the ear, if you will, and following the line as well. This whole area is very shadowed here, so we'll bring some out, and then here as well on this line we're going to do our little line again. I don't know why, I think it just makes it look a bit more rounded. Got a bit of shadow here, got a bit of shadow here, and a bit down here as well. Keep it a couple of millimeters away from the edge line, just to give that rounded look. And I'm going to go up the top here as well. So outline the edge of the ear as well. Okay, next colour is the chocolate PC1082. Extend and blend time again. So going around, extending it inward or outward, however you would say it. You're going to go a lot neater than me with this, by the way. You know what I'm like when I'm doing my tutorials. I'm often going out of the lines and stuff, just purely because I'm trying to do it quickly, but there we are. So we've added a bit of chocolate to the inside of all our dark umber. Now the next is our burnt ochre 943. Bringing that in as well. Extend and blend. I should copyright that, shouldn't I? The extend and blend technique by Colour with Claire. It's not really by me, it's just what most colourists do when they're blending out different colours. And then around here and down here as well. And inside here. And then the lightest colour is the beige sienna PC1080. and just bringing that out again. Now we need to go back in, start again, so to speak. So dark umber around the edge of the ear, deepening that colour, and here as well, and everywhere you put it originally. Then the chocolate. And the burnt ochre. And this second layer just really brings out the colours and the depth of the contrast. And then again with the beige sienna as your final colour to blend everything through. So there we are, and as I say, I'm by no means perfect at colouring, but this is the way that I do it, and I hope that you've picked up maybe some ideas or techniques of how to do it yourself, or even if it's just the colour combos that I've used. Even if you just take that away with you, I'm happy. I really hope it's helped, and I'll just show you the whole thing. Just get up, show you the whole thing so you can see what we've done today. So we have done our Caucasian and dark-skinned nose and ears, and then we've done some different lips, going from a deep pink to a deep red to a nude to a standard sort of pink lip. And there you go. So I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, and do subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon on Colour with Claire.